Blog Talk Radio.
Hey guys, this is Those Guys with your host, Matt Marrero, along with your other host,
the Internet. I know every continuity mistake ever made on television.
And we're doing Steven Universe,
where there was a continuity error multiple minutes into the episode, where it showed that there was a wire attached to the TV when Lapis was on, and then, seconds later, there was no wire.
Yeah.
It's actually funny. I feel like they put that in as a joke.
Probably. Also, by the way, episodes 45 and 46 of Season 1.
The message is 46.
Yes.
As I'm being adored.
Yes, and Rose's scabbard is 45.
And this is super relevant because I believe this was the beginning of Steven Bomb.
Yes, which is funny because I tried to tell you that last episode that we did, and you were like, no, it's not. And I had to go along with you being like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I was actually right on that one. I'm not usually right. But,
wait, what?
I said I was actually right.
No, I said Steven Bomb was starting, and you were like, no, it didn't. That's later.
Yeah, because you said, if you check back on air, you said that the episode we just did had started Steven Bomb, and I said, no, it's the one after.
Oh, I thought you said much later, and I was like, okay.
No, because we were at the 40-something, so, like, by default, we were there.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, okay, but this is Steven Bomb. It happened.
Yeah, this is the first episode of Steven Bomb, Rose's Scabbard, rather. First episode of Steven Bomb.
Right. So, yeah, Steven Bomb, which we're getting another one coming up soon in real time. But, of course, for any of you listening to us, now or in the archives, it's, yeah.
It's in, another week or so?
Possibly. But, so we're doing...
It's early June when Matt and I are doing this.
Yeah, exactly. So, so we're, already past... Season 1 in real time. But right now, here you are listening to us. We're not going to post, or talk about any spoilers or anything. But yeah, so here we are talking about these two episodes. And, what's really funny is if someone's marathoning this, to them it's just an entire Steven Bomb. Just the entire season. Because you can't stop at one. It's like a potato chip. You just can't.
And this is funny. This isn't me referencing our podcast like we normally do and joke about. If you were watching Steven Universe and you're catching up like marathon-wise, what you don't know is that Rose's Scabbard and then the next 4 episodes? Was it? Yeah, because it was...
It was a full week,
4 episodes were released one a day. So starting on the Monday, we got Rose's Scabbard, and then we got 4 more in consecutive days. This was huge for us. And if you're watching the show marathoning, you totally understand why, because you love it, as you said.
So think about it, the idea that we currently are, early season 2, right, for, live, and it's 2015. Show's been going on since 2013.
Yeah,
so imagine that wait.
5 in a row.
Yeah.
Was huge. And they were good episodes, too. I've mentioned to Matt on multiple occasions that the message was, at that point, my favorite episode in the show.
Yeah. So...
And Rose's Scabbard is no lightweight either.
No, definitely not. It was a great way to start this whole Steven Bomb and everything, and you can definitely tell I said this about...
By nearly killing Steven.
Right. I said this about our last podcast. The idea that 44 was a great way to start this end game, for the season. The idea that we've gotten, we've gone through all of the episodes, of season 1, and now we're at the end of it, with these episodes. So it's just a great way to say, hey, now it's coming at you. The end is coming at you. Here you are. And really getting you into it and going, oh, man, I want to watch this, and seeing where it goes. The idea of we had some filler episodes before it, and while I love filler, some people will say, oh, Ronaldo and Sadie stuff, this doesn't matter. So, and blah, 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 right? But the idea is that, we had episodes like that, but once we saw, episode 44, it just transitioned into, this different tone of, what's going on. And it's just very, very, very interesting.
Rose's Scabbard was really intense, and it hurt in a way for me where, okay, and this isn't an insult against the show, I really didn't like the Pearl character in this episode. And that's not me saying, guys, you wrote her wrong. I'm like, no, I just think you wrote her very well, but that I was disappointed in her actions.
I agree.
Okay, no, I just want to make sure you're still there. No, because, because Rosa Scabbard, I think, hit me in a weird way, because, if I remember correctly, she basically looked at Steven as he was jumping.
Well, it was a weird situation, to be honest. It was a very weird. Yeah, and I knew you were going to bring it up, which is really funny. I knew you were going to bring it up.
Because that bothered me, on an emotional level.
No, of course it did. I get that completely. Of course it did. Just the idea that, and we're not there yet in the episode because usually we talk about these in order, but just the idea that, she did make sure that he was okay, in the sense that she looked down to be sure that, oh God, is Steven safe? And but her idea of, she doesn't understand the idea that humans are super duper frail. I think she does a bit, but just not too much, where it's just, oh, he caught on, great. And it's just, no, he's caught there, but it's not like he could. Steven actually pulls himself up. Don't prove her point, Steven.
Right, she let it, in my head, she basically let Steven for dead. And that's the key point for me in this episode, and it really hurt me.
I mean, it's weird. It's I think you're going a bit too far, but I agree with the sentiment.
That's okay. That is totally okay.
But I agree with it.
You are not.
But I agree with it.
You're not inclined to agree with me. But I really
no.
How I
but
felt.
I do agree, which is funny. In other words, I understand you being like, oh, she was irresponsible. But I think the words "left for dead" are just a bit too far. But I will admit, this episode did write her as that very passionate person that she becomes sometimes, which you don't see it a lot, but you've definitely seen it when she wanted to go back to her home planet, and now with Rose. The idea where
I can appreciate the fact that a character has flaws. I can.
Mm-hmm.
But Pearl, for the most part, has been a character that I'm always at ends with, because earlier when we did Steven Universe podcast, I talked about the fact that she is essentially just racist. She's written to be racist against the human race. And so it's weird for me, where I think she's written well and I think she's handled well, but I identify her as a racist. And sometimes she doesn't think much. And she lets her emotions get the best of her, which I understand. It happens. It does. So that's what I'm saying. It's not an insult against the show. I'm just saying I identify her as that kind of character, and that personally is oh, man, wow, not cool.
Right. Right, I can see that. I can see, again, I feel weird about the word racist, but I think we've talked about this before, and I've still agreed with you in the idea.
It's totally okay if you don't want to say that, but I make the claim because it was my claim. So I'm not going to, try to drag you into this. But I believe that.
No, but it's really funny, though, because it's the word. It's really funny. You just, twice tonight, I said, you say this word. I don't agree with the word, but I agree with pretty much the entire message behind it. It's so Matt, then you agree with the word. No, but I agree with the
because there's power behind words. I get it. There's power behind the word racist. But to me, human beings are a race. And she is biased and discriminating against them, so that makes her a racist.
Yeah.
Speciesist.
Right. No, I can see what you mean. Just, I think of it more as a weird sense of nationalism, but again, it still doesn't make it right.
That's funny. I see what you're getting.
Yeah. But anyway, right. So starting, talking about the episode from the beginning, as we usually do. I do think that there were some, good things about Pearl in this episode. The opening was great, having Pearl reminisce about Rose, and the battles and everything. So I really enjoyed that. Because it wasn't just complete Pearl, shenanigans. And also the idea of, Pearl, at least at this point, I think she was very, generous to Steven, which is, so, you think you can handle all this, climbing up vertical angle, all that stuff? Steven's on her back. Just the camera cut was hilarious. Just Steven's on her back.
I don't know if my memory is misserving me here. This is the episode with Garnet picking up the giant weapon, right?
Yes.
Okay,
the giant battle axe.
Yes, that's because
in the beginning.
Use one of those?
Yes, in the beginning, and then of course Amethyst saying, "Ooh, my room needed a new pile." But Pearl, and why is she doing this vertical leap everything? Because of course Pearl is trying to show Steven, hey, there's a secret armory that you've never heard of. And Steven's like, oh, I've been here before.
That made me laugh a lot. For some reason, I don't know if it's just the fact that I sit there and I'm like, I am not the biggest fan of the Pearl. But to just see her get that in her face, I kind of liked it in a weird way.
I don't know. I mean, I don't feel that. I relate to it.
No, that's fine, man. Because, I guess for me, it's sort of a thing where, I'm under the impression that no matter how much I think I know about anybody, and this includes you, you're my podcast partner, my business partner, that there's always secrets to behold. There's always things you don't know about a person. And it doesn't strike me as odd because I myself, I'm very, very private, where, I keep things to myself. I guess I don't know if that's me relating to Rose in a way. The idea of, I tell people a lot, but at the same time I don't tell them everything. So there are some things that, you won't know. And it doesn't mean that, you're going to be harmed from it. But, I get that whole aspect of Rose. However, I'll give you something. I understand why Pearl was, quote, hurt by it. Because of, the way she felt.
I think she was just generally having, thinking back to, to Rose's death. She was slightly hurt, but because the idea of, no, but this can't be true, But, just the general idea of Rose passing away, I think, was just very traumatic for her because, that was not only, it was a mentor, but it was one of the things where, really, she would, I think it's one of those things where sometimes people feel I would go into battle with you and I would die for you if I could. And then all of a sudden, you don't die, but the other person does. And it's fuck. Just that feeling, just fuck. But what I was trying to bring up before, the reason why I was saying that I relate to Pearl, is the idea that, and I think you have to relate to this at the very least, just, I'm going to show someone something really cool. Oh, I saw that movie. Even if they're passionate about it, just as passionate as you are, or at least slightly passionate, and oh, it was a really good movie. You sit there, you go, I was going to show it to you, though. I was going to show it to you. That's how I feel a lot. We're just I'm going to show you this cool thing. I've already seen it. Oh. All right.
That's funny. Okay. That's cool. That's a lot more, you're looking at it more I guess in the
armory, yeah. Just, I'm going to show you a really cool thing. Oh, I've seen it already.
Right,
I'm sorry,
for me,
what?
I took it more as oh, this is something that I thought only I knew about Rose. And then Steven's but I've seen it.
No. That I would consider, that's why I was confused a bit in my head when you said that, because I thought you were jumping to Lion and generally just the fact that...
Generally, yeah. I was speaking more generally than I was the specific armory.
Okay. Okay.
The armory scene specifically, though, I think what I loved is Steven misnamed everything, and Rose gave correct death-sounding names to everything.
Yes. Not even misnamed, just, oh, there is some kind of armor stuff, which, yeah, there's armor. She's you mean this? And just gives you, like you said, the most deadly names and the perfect names. They had to sit there and come up with these names as writers. It was beautiful. And, it's one of those things that I really enjoy about Steven Universe, just their depth and just them knowing, oh, yeah, this, we're going to do this, and this is really funny, and et cetera, et cetera. And it really hits with me. Both episodes, I think really, I've said this so many times before, I don't want to put it on a T-shirt, but I feel like it should be. There's just young blood. They're so young. They know what they're doing. It's just all that yada, yada, yada. I'm going to stop praising them. These episodes were terrible. I hated how good they were. They were wonderful. I love them. Shit.
I get attached to the little things.
Yeah. The item sound that Steven made, but it was slightly different to not have to uphold copyright laws. You saw that, right? It was just, it was there, but it was,
it was subtle, and of course, we're just sitting there like, I got that. I totally got that.
And then, right, you're like, okay, so that's funny. You're like, oh, that's, that was interesting. Steven just comes out of Lion on a bicycle. Steven came out of Lion on a bicycle. And I sit there, and I'm just like,
it's like, I did lots of things in there. Really?
Comes out on a bicycle. Oh, my God. It was just, and then now we get to real plot stuff, right? Not just some jokes. I think it's real plot stuff. They start to question, or this person starts to question, wait, so this Lion has something to do with Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Garnet becomes us immediately. Just, pretty obvious.
That almost, because Garnet understands the idea that, that made sense.
Yeah. But yeah, so apparently, then there's a lot of just weird stuff that we still have to question about Lion. But I think it's nice that it's being brought up. Oh yeah, so this is some Lion that we found that has magical powers or stuff or whatever. And it's like, well, it's pink and it holds a lot of stuff from Rose's past, which is huge.
Yeah, I mean, also the thing is that we knew because of, we saw what was inside the main when Steven went in.
Right.
But it wasn't implied that, they knew. Now, it made sense for them to know. That's why Garnet's like, yeah, pretty obvious. But, I guess I liked the little nod, here is your confirmation.
Yeah, exactly. Just, you guys are looking for this. Right, yeah. It's like, you guys are looking for this, here we are. And then what?
No, go ahead. No, just say basically exactly what you were going to say, and go off.
Yeah, no, because I was just going to move on to because we already talked about the idea that she was mishandled Steven in that scene, but how did you feel about when you saw the flashback that she was able to project?
I thought it was great.
Because that got to me. That.
Oh yeah, no, it was a high emotional moment for me. But I want you to, it didn't take away from the fact that the way I interpreted the situation was that she left Steven to die because she saw him make that jump after putting him in a fucking obstacle course, no less. Because she basically left an obstacle course for him.
Well, she did not expect him to actually do any of it. That's the problem.
Suppose,
she sat there and...
She thought
I don't think she was going to be like, and then I lit it on fire, so... Jump on it now. No, she'll be like, so, you're obviously not going to jump on it. He jumps on fire. Okay, Steven, no, you weren't supposed to jump on fire. I don't really think she sits there and, thinks, oh, whatever, he's going to die. No. But in her moment of vulnerability, she definitely, was not able to...
Yeah, because, for me, I'll take that argument. I believe that's correct, that she didn't expect him to do it. But, she saw him jump. Eye contact was made. I don't know. It's weird. I mean, that's why it hurt me. And I understand. I totally understand that I'm overreacting a little and being dramatic.
No,
I get it.
Because here's the thing, right? Again, I get what you're saying, and I get some of the sentiment, but I also realize, and this is something that happens to me too, so I'm not sitting here and pointing a finger, but we're being very, very, very calm right now. In other words, we're able to sit back and just go, man, her friend died, and she's remembering that, and then she wasn't worrying about him. Man, she sucks. If you're in that moment, it's like whenever, let's say, people are watching a horror movie, and it's just like, I'd be able to get out of that okay. I mean, they're just in the dark, scared for their lives, running from something that they can't see and that they don't know about, and, oh, my God, they got killed. That's so stupid. Come on. What are you doing?
For me, and I'll stick to this, I'll defend it, because I totally understand being upset and as upset as she was. I have no problem with that. My issue, honestly, is that I feel like she let him die. That's the way I looked at it. Because if he had not grabbed on to...
She would have jumped after him. But she saw that he was okay.
She didn't show any inclination in my head that she would have. That's the way I looked at it.
she looked down. If she never looked.
The jump, like if she couldn't make that in time, what would have happened?
There we go. That makes sense. But the idea is that she looked after the jump happened, because after the jump happened, it's like, oh, he didn't make it. Looks, oh, he made it. And it's like, no, you idiot, he didn't make it. Go check on him. And then that's where I'll give it to you. But it's not like she was just like, he died. Oh, man.
And that's the way I felt. That is the way I felt about it, where I just felt like
that she
didn't
laughed.
care enough to... No, not the laughter. That's obviously ridiculous.
Okay.
She's not going to laugh
Good.
at Steven's death. You know better than that. Come on.
Good. Okay, good. I'm happy we're in agreement. No,
yeah,
I know,
no,
but just...
We're totally in
still
agreement about
like...
the fact that Pearl would not laugh at Steven's death. I will give you that 150%.
I'm happy that we're
That's
in agreement. I'm really happy. I'm really happy that we're here. I'm happy that we've been able to... So I'm a little worried for a second. No, I'm kidding. But, yeah, no, it's just like, again, I understand. Because obviously she was very delayed and whatever. But it's just, I feel like we're a bit too calm about what she's... Again, I'm not saying that she didn't have fault, because of course it is at fault, but I do think that we're being very calm about a situation that if we were in the situation, we wouldn't all just be happy and cheers and, Like,
no,
I will admit, it's like,
I don't think she needs to be anything like that. I totally understand her being distraught and having to go through all that stuff.
But when you're in a moment like that, are you clear? Do you? I'm not justifying, but do you think that when you're in a moment like that, you can think clearly? And in the past, when you've been in moments like that, you've thought clearly, and you've been able to just go, and then I made the right decision, and everyone was happy.
No, I just think that it doesn't justify in my head, like, essentially leaving her, I'll say son, just for the sake, because not her
son,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, her son for death. Like, I just think that's too much to excuse.
I just think the word for death, I mean, it's true technically, but I just feel weird about the word for death.
And again, I totally understand why you don't agree with me, and I'm fine with it, Like, I just...
Yeah.
That's the way I interpreted it, and that's what, it was just weird for me.
All right, fair enough. I mean, it's not like I'm saying that you're completely wrong, and I'm wrong in any way.
And
really.
I think the Pearl character appeals because of that. Like, she's vulnerable. She does make mistakes. I don't love her, but I don't hate her.
Me neither. Okay. Yeah, me neither. I mean, she's not my favorite.
Because I understand flaws. I understand getting overcome by emotion. I'm a very emotional person, and I know that it's very hard to act when clouded with emotions. I mean, sometimes I don't even want to do anything when I'm like that distraught. So again, I just feel like there are lines where, like, even when you're that distraught, you can react in a way, like, react. I felt like it was a very blasé, like, reaction to what Stephen could have jumped to his death.
Right. Fair enough. But moving forward, talking about that flashback. So the flashback, I think, did kind of move everything towards like a better, at least an understanding, I guess, because I will admit, I think that before I even saw that, it was definitely completely what you said. But after me seeing that, it kind of makes me, I don't want to say understand, but it kind of gets me drawn into what Pearl was thinking and her line of thinking. The idea that she wasn't thinking, honestly, but the idea of it just, it didn't feel real, I think. Like, she did pass, Rose did pass, but it didn't feel, like, you know what I mean? Like, because we haven't heard a lot about their connection. We've heard bits and pieces, but we haven't really, this episode, the bond that Rose and Pearl shared.
Yeah, that's really important, that we didn't, because we were here arguing. It was kind of like, it's again one of those like things I look at as like a confirmation. We're like, we knew it was something special, but now it's like we know how special. The idea of like that loyalty, that dedication. And I don't want to take away from that speech at the end, because that was beautiful. Like that whole Rose Pearl exchange, and the fact that she basically recreated it with the hologram, like that was kind of like creepy, but not in a like, oh my God, don't do that way. It was like, wow.
Not in an amethyst way.
Yeah, like, wow.
Yeah, no.
Wow.
And then, we have, we have her talking about, the idea of I wonder if Rose sees me through your eyes to Steven. And Steven says, well, I think you're pretty great. And he hugs her. And then that's when it was like, there's sand in my eye, and there's a bug, and the tears are, oh, man, I got punched in the face. Oh, this is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, that's when it just really hits you, like, oh, God. And then it just becomes cute from there, and it ends in the nicest way possible. It was just perfect. There's no real way to describe it. Just the idea that they're just talking to each other, and and Pearl is discussing stuff about the war to Steven, and and it's just that montage that's just really, really cute. And I think it was a really nice way to end an episode like this.
Mhm. I liked that whole little run back with the flag. I really did. It was just a smooth kind of like, wow. I did, and I really enjoyed the episode. Again, I stick to my guns there, but I really enjoyed it because it's development. It's furthering characters, plot, and everything. I love it. It was really, really good. And classically, Steven Universe is really good at mixing comedy with emotion. My favorite show Scrubs does that really well, and that's one of the things I can point out here that worked.
And you can definitely see a lot of that comedy in the next episode, which we're about to talk about, The Message. You can definitely see lots of comedy in that one. I mean, I have way too many quotes that I feel like I shouldn't, but they're just really funny to me. Just the idea of, I can't stay mad at my robo-dad, being one of them, or, or just general ideas, I think, just how we can relate to Greg, because at least I can, where, something like, okay, this podcast is not just me. It's you, myself, and, who I can think of weekly, our fact-checker, Maddie, and a lot of, other people that we work with that it would take so much time to talk
Anthony,
about.
Get on here as well. I mean...
Tristan.
Yeah.
I was
Tristan's not saving the world in the future, and I really don't know how often I get to mention him.
He comes back a lot to podcasts, so it's okay.
I guess that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I hope he knows I appreciate that.
He does.
Good.
I don't know why. No, it was weird. The way, but in my head I heard, oh, he does. And it's like, Matt, are you insinuating you're Tristan?
Oh, he does. From the future, there's just a montage of him thumbs up. He knows.
Oh my God. So like I was saying though, the idea, right, is that while of course there are a lot of people working on this podcast, it's not my podcast. But as you've mentioned before on some of our other shows, or just in general, there is a lot of stuff that I do, in the sense that I'll Photoshop some really bad Photoshops and put it on our Twitter or whatever. Or, generally working on the YouTube channel, I'm trying to, put these videos up on the YouTube channel, which are old podcasts. So at least our YouTube podcast channel. So, so it's really funny when Greg says, oh, when you're a one-man band, you got to know how to do it all. And I laughed because it's just, I felt like that a bit, in a weird way. Because of course, we're a team. But the idea is, let's say for, some other footage that we record, some of our gameplay stuff on our other YouTube channel, that we make reference to, I'm the one recording that. You were there playing the game with me, but I'm the one that had to move my computer
and then
over
you cut it up.
to record, to cut it up, and then upload it. So it's just really funny where it's just gotta know how to do the video and the audio. So I sat there and I thought, man, Greg, I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you.
No, yeah, okay. I think I've mentioned before that Greg is essentially my favorite character on the show, in a weird way, because I just really love him. I love who he is as a character, and he's not perfect. Again, none of the characters are perfect. But I guess I really personally relate to his imperfections, and I guess that's why it's a thing where it's that's not me saying Greg is best character. I'm saying Greg is my favorite character. I find myself very relatable to him, and I love when he gets moments to do things. A very basic statement, but so The Message, I think, was a nice exhibition of his strengths and his flaws and his emotions and who he is. And it started off early where it was my God, he's an incredible artist. Because the art for the Lapis thing was really, really good. We know he's a good musician. We know he's good with tech. And it's just, he essentially wrote a song within minutes. In the sense of, like, the Wailing Stone song later on, he used the melody his son gave him, but he wrote a song about, like, how he felt and implied, like, he just looks up to the gems and worships them, but he just wants to help whatever way he can. And it's just nice.
Yeah.
His character is lost in a world here where, like, his son is half alien and has to go off on stuff, and, like, that must be so hard. So he's written so well as a cartoon father because he really, really loves his son no matter what and does whatever he can.
He feels like Krillin. I don't know why. The way you described him just felt like Krillin.
It's funny, too,
from
because,
Dragon Ball Z.
Krillin's had moments in Dragon Ball Z where you really want him to, like, win. And
not,
like, I think,
not win, take down. Like, not like, stand his own, he beat up. No, just destroy.
Right,
Cell.
because, like,
destroy Frieza.
You get so behind him when he gets in his moments.
Yes. And granted, of course he had a much bigger role in Dragon Ball, but once it came to Z, a lot of the humans were sidelined. So, for greater threats.
And it's funny. Like, I felt bad for Krillin. He became a meme, essentially. The Taken meme with Krillin is still one of my favorites. I don't know who you are, but I will find you and you will kill me.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. That just
always
can never.
makes me laugh.
Right. But anyway, all right.
I think Greg is more capable than Krillin, though, because, like, he gets stuff. Oh, no. Like, he actually, in this episode alone, he basically got a huge victory.
Yes, he did. And, but before we, talk about that, I want to just talk about, I loved how Water Witch just immediately was just Lapis. It's just, Water Witch. And I'm like, that's Lapis. And then we hear Steven's song about Lapis. And I sit there and I think, wow, I think this is one of my favorite songs. Not my favorite, because you know what my favorite is, but it's one of my favorite songs. And it's very funny because, I think I have a top 3, and I don't know how to label them. One of them we can't talk about yet. The other one being Let Me Drive My Van Into Your Heart.
I still
and then this
love
song.
that. I don't care what anybody says. That's perfect.
Yes, it's one of my favorites. And then this one. So, yes. So, also, moving forward, right, the Wailing Stone. It went through Steven. So we have a Wailing Stone that wails.
Oh, okay, so we're up to here. I laughed so hard at this part. I couldn't help it.
Yeah.
I just thought it was so
wailing.
funny. Just like, as soon as he opens his mouth.
and then it's just like, let's put a bunch of cushions on it, and then sit Steven on it. That's all. And then the cherry on the cake, Steven. And it's just hilarious. Oh my God. I love Garnet's solution to the problem, even though it really didn't do much. So Steven just somehow ends up giving the best ideas because they are. I mean, in this case, it wasn't simple. Usually they're simple, and it's really funny how simple they are because they end up working. But in this case, it was just him knowing that piece of information that it's like, hey, come on, let's try it. Even if it doesn't work, we should try it. Why aren't we going to try a solution? And then Garnet basically backs it up. Like, yeah, why wouldn't we? So, yeah. And it's funny because it didn't even hit me. It was just like, well, my dad knows sound. Right, his dad knows sound.
Yeah, he's the audio daddy-o.
Yes. Oh, my God. So, yeah, and then it's like you mentioned before, it sucks because they just don't rely on Greg for anything. And for some people, it's like, oh, good, woo, you took that responsibility off my back. But for Greg, it's interesting because you get to see that look into his character that just because he looks carefree with no responsibilities doesn't mean that he likes it if the responsibilities are taken away from him, because it's the idea of, oh, you couldn't do it. You can't. So let's not let you try.
Yeah, and it just, I don't know how to talk about it, I guess, but it made sense for me. Like, I understood that feeling of, like, when he talks about, because it's hard for me to do the message in order, to be honest. I'm kind of going to skip around. I'm just going to be honest.
I get that.
The Wailing Stone song, just talking about, like, I just want to help, and I have some expertise, and if I could do anything, I'd like to be there. I'd like to do anything at all. And it's just, the Wailing Sun song really kind of hurt me. Not in a made me sad way, but I was just like, wow, I understand that. The idea of, I think so highly of you, I just want to help, but you have no faith in me. And I get it because, if you don't have faith in me, and this is me speaking personally, it's really hard for me to come through. I perform well under pressure. I don't perform well under, oh, you're probably going to fail, Satish. I don't.
Of course.
Every now and then I can channel this kind of, chip on my shoulder thing where it's you told me I couldn't do something, so I'm going to do it just because you told me I couldn't do it. And I will try. But certain things, it's, we're not perfect, so we make mistakes. So even when you have expertise, you make mistakes. And I get that. He basically was you gave up on me so quickly. You gave me, a 5-minute effort, and I didn't really get to try. And it just was great because, he and Steven figured out that it was video, and they put it together. And it made sense to me also because gem technology is so far ahead of humans that when they sent this, Lapis sent this, and they were all wow, this is way old technology, it was video. It made sense to me, oh wow, because their technology is so far ahead, their old technology is our video and audio.
Yes, which is so interesting. That and the idea that it was inverted, so it actually wasn't, that it was video, but it was coming in. It was video coming in, but you thought, oh, it's audio because wailing. No, it's actually video, which is very interesting to think about. But also something really funny is Amethyst going, never started a car with a key before.
That made me laugh.
And then just proclaiming, oh, man, it's so much easier. Just, oh, my God.
Yeah, I laughed. I'm what were you doing?
Before, or what have you been doing?
Right. It means a lot to me that it actually worked out for them. That Greg actually did something right.
Yes.
Because I want him to have victories. He is my baby face. He's like my Daniel Bryan. And that's a wrestling reference for those of you who don't know. The idea of, he is the underdog, and I really like underdogs, so I want him to succeed very badly.
Oh, yes. I agree.
And you understand that because we're both, we root for that kind of stuff.
No, of course. I mean, I get it completely. I really like Greg. I mentioned this before, there's certain people, Ronaldo, it's very interesting as a character to kind of relate to.
Yeah, you like Ronaldo too, and I understand that because, in many ways, Ronaldo is us, and I can totally...
Yes, but definitely Greg, too, I would say. Most definitely Greg, really, I can relate to him. I'm not a dad.
I'm not going to lie to you, he's also, he's not a ripped, buff character. He's a little bit overweight, and I'm I get you.
Yeah,
I understand.
Me too.
I do.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, I just kind of get that a lot. So, all right, so we mentioned, I think we mentioned the person calling, right, the person videoing was Lapis.
Which was really cool, because it was hey, throwback in this episode and early on foreshadowing.
Yeah, which, it's really funny because they do that a lot in Supernatural episodes where what they'll do is they'll do they'll basically do a thing where it's not a last time on Supernatural, but they'll just do a certain video compilation. Think about it in WWE terms with a video package, let's say before a big fight, a match. UFC does it as well. The idea that, it's just, we're putting all these clips together because of the episode that's coming up. But when they do, in the episode, right before, as a previous, but when they do it, it's usually based on a character that might be coming back or a monster that they're facing again or the type of monster that they're facing. So it's just foreshadowing. You look at it, you go, oh, okay, so this is what the episode's going to be about for the most part. I guess I'll enjoy the ride, right? That's kind of what they did here in a way. Where, yes, they do it a lot in Steven Universe and Gravity Falls, but they really did it here. Where it's just, hey, they're mentioning Lapis again.
And she got
someone's calling?
A 30-second song, but it was really good, for the record.
Oh, it was cute. Oh, yeah, very, very good. And so it's just, who's calling? Probably Lapis. It's Lapis. Right? So also, by the way, I don't know if you noticed, they did the anime camera angle thing. And I died. I was like, why is Lapis so much smaller? Oh, my God, they're doing it. And then they did it, and you sat there and you thought, man, they really are anime fans. If you doubted it to this point, I don't know why you would, but if you doubted it to this point,
right,
I think you can really just see, hey guys, they're anime fans. Not just Western animation, Sailor Moon, well, not Sailor Moon, obviously, but no, I'm thinking of, what am I thinking of? A lot of Western animation, just the general, oh, come on.
It's okay.
You're right
it's
there.
Okay.
No, you're right there in front of me. You're right there. Oh, come on. Oh, you were a rock star. She was a rock star, Satish. I can't remember her name, though. She was a rock star. I'll get it. I believe I'll get it. But the point is, there's a lot of Western animation. And
I'm so sorry.
I know, you wouldn't know.
So
I know you wouldn't know. No, you would not know.
I know. I want to help you really badly. I just can't.
Yes.
I was just going to say Danny Phantom, because that was the only thing that came
Female rock star.
Ember? But no, I got nothing.
It's okay. Jem and the Holograms. So, Jem and the Holograms. You knew that one?
I should have.
Okay.
But anyway.
But no, anyway, the idea is, general stuff like, G.I. Joe,
there you go.
like a lot of other like, like older shows that's like, oh, that's where they're drawing inspiration from. They're not drawing any inspiration from anime. No. It's just like, I think this kind of showed you, damn. Right? Just any of you naysayers, if the one of you, they're not, oh, okay.
And it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, I love it.
They do, which I think is great.
Oh, yeah. And also, by the way, right, now that we're at the end of the episode, Garnet, I really love her, I really love just what she was doing. Like, she was perfect in this scene.
Oh, so that ending scene is so significant because she checks her glasses, and you understand what that means.
Of course. She
saw it. Yeah, like she went ahead and she saw the future visions. And she basically was like, you know what? Thank you for letting us know, Greg. And his face
it happened.
was like, oh my God. And my heart, skipped because I'm like, you deserve that, my friend.
And then that's what happened, and we sit here and we're just like, damn, what's gonna, how is this gonna work? We're all sitting here just like, how is everyone there? We're just, how is this gonna work? And Garnet's like, we're just gonna do it. We focused on this, we got this done, we'll focus on that when it happens. Let's do this. And then, of course, they have to end the episode on something adorable. Just, help, I can't relate to my robot son.
Which I thought was great.
But yeah, and then and then of course you mentioned the Steven thing. I thought you were going to follow up with it, but you didn't, so I'm going to poke you.
Go for
it. The Steven line. No, I'm poking you to do it.
I opened the show up with it.
My mind is the internet. I know every continuity mistake ever made on television.
I couldn't stop laughing. I was just laughing so hard.
Yeah.
It was so...
Well then.
I guess because they do all these little throwbacks and these little references and these small little lines that we'll all sit here and smile at. And I appreciate that stuff. And I know I'm not the only fan who really appreciates that and sits there and is like, wow, that was awesome. Wow.
No, I mean, I think a lot of us do. It's really, really funny. But yeah, and now we have the next string of episodes coming up, and it's just a very, very, very interesting experience, coming up, Steven Universe fan. So I hope you keep on listening to us throughout these, these podcasts.
Yeah, I mean,
we could end this here, or I could go on about the message for like another 5 minutes. I don't know what's the right thing to do here, because someone was listening and be like, oh, they spent only 15 minutes. Like, you have to understand, like, I really love the message, and that's it. Like, I think you should watch it.
It's something interesting. The way we always describe it is, for any of you new listeners, or maybe we don't really mention we mentioned on Steven Universe before, the idea that when there's something to either argue about, or if we didn't like something, we'll end up spending a lot more time on it if compared to if we enjoyed it. Because what is there to really say? I liked it. Great. Man, story development. I know, right? Yeah. Okay. Have a good night.
Yeah, it meant so much to me to have this episode. Yeah. The idea of, like, in the middle of Steven Baum, when we know we're going to have plot, we know a lot of things are happening, season finale is coming up, right? They gave me a Greg-focused episode where he got to win. And it's just everything about it, the subtleties make me happy. The idea that he's creating music with his son, which is great. He created art. He managed to use his tech skills to do something. The Gems appreciated him. And then just story development of, like, okay, Lapis just warned them of incoming death. That is not cool.
Yeah.
Also, really something, it's just, I think, soon enough, I don't know if it was this episode, they changed up the ending credits song around now, just a little bit.
Sadly, I cannot confirm that.
I know, it's okay. One of the episodes around this time, they changed up the episode ending a little bit. And it's either this, and one of the scary ones, it's either this one or the next one. And what happens is you hear like the da-na-na, and like the finish, and then you just hear and static.
Wow.
And it's kind of jarring because it's like it's a reference to the static end of Lapis' message, and it's like incoming death. And I believe, if I'm not wrong, it's probably the next night. Because I remember we got 2 episodes on the Thursday, so I was actually wrong. We got 5 episodes that week.
Wait,
I believe
we said we got 5.
No.
You mean we got 6 then?
You got 6, 5 more. Because earlier I said, after Rosa Scabbard, we got 4 more. So I was wrong. I meant to say that we got 6 episodes in total.
In this week,
Right, because we had the season finale, essentially 2-parter, coming up on the Thursday. But, I don't know. We talk about this a lot, but when we get really happy, we can't go on about something. And I can go on about the message, but I don't want to bore anybody. Just watch it, and you'll understand. You'll just sit there and be like,
if you have
kind of just a moment. Like, yep, bro, just brofist. We get it. Because it was wonderful.
And here we are, at the end of our show, as always. And what's really funny is we're going to start posting our YouTube because we're really getting there in terms of what we have, and we'll be adding more and more to our YouTube channel, but to those guys on the radio YouTube channel. But it's very funny because looking at our older shows, it's just become so formulaic now. And it's really funny. Where there was a point where I just said at the end, and I'm signing out, as if it's just like the fucking catchphrase that never fucking just caught on, and it's hilarious. So I guess I'll be signing out tonight, Satish. The one thing that stayed very consistent, though, which is funny, is, hey, guys, this is Those Guys, and thank you guys for listening to Those Guys. And you got mad at that at first.
I'm still mad at it because grammatically it's really, really, it like kind of makes me twitch.
Yeah. But you've learned to accept it.
But I just try not to get angry about it because, like, I feel like they'd get angry at me getting angry at it all the time.
Power of positivity. Hashtag POP.
Hashtag bubblegum POP.
Yes. But anyway, so here we are. Speaking of our YouTube channel, we'll be posted along with, all of our episode updates and things like that on our website, which is thoseguysontheradio.tumblr.com. We also have ourselves a Twitter where we post funny pictures as well as new episode updates, which is at Those Guys Radio. We have ourselves a Facebook for the same purpose, which is /ThoseGuysOnTheRadio. We also have ourselves the Instagram, which is very fun, /ThoseGuysOnTheRadio. And as I mentioned, about our Tumblr and our Gmail serve similar purposes. Our Gmail/email being thoseguysontheradio@gmail.com. You can ask us questions. You can, we really want to hear what you guys have to say. Ask us questions. show requests, which would be a great thing. And also, of course, just talking about possible, opportunities to promote maybe your product or your service or something like that. Definitely contact us, and we would love to talk to you about that through our, like I said, our website, which is thoseguysontheradio.tumblr.com, or our Gmail, which is thoseguysontheradio@gmail.com. Right? And, of course, looking at our archives, you can do it through our Blog Talk Radio, which is, blogtalkradio.com/thoseguysontheradio, or iTunes, where you can just search up Those Guys on the Radio or just Those Guys or Those Guys Radio, and you'll be sure to find us with our logo, and you will, you'll be able to look at some of our older stuff. So, here we are.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So, say good night, Satish.
Good night, Satish.